I know a lot of times in my practice when people start getting a really good feeling, and I'm like, okay, I need to anchor this right now. This is really perfect. And I'll ask them, okay, if this feeling had a color, what color would it be? And first thing that pops into their mind, they just breathe that in and link it. Every time I feel this feeling, or every time I breathe in this color, I get that feeling right back again. So even in my practice, I notice it's very powerful for people to link the feeling to a color. Because it's easy for us to imagine a color, but sometimes it's hard to bring back that really good feeling.
Yes.
So when it's linked, and the feeling is linked to the color, people have a much easier time to just, oh, if I just breathe in that blue, oh yeah, that feeling comes right back. Tell us a little bit about how do you use the color, like, because I know you do readings. I believe you call it chromographics or chromographic readings. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how you take all that color and all that feeling and turn it into like a reading for somebody.
Everybody has their own color signature, as I said, and that will change from day to day, even from moment to moment. So when people come and ask for a reading, what I do is I generally have a table that they can lie on or they can sit, depending on their own preferences. I'm really open to any of that. You want people to be as comfortable as they can be. So once that's done, I just sit there and we just kind of sit for a minute and just sort of absorb, and then little by little you can see these sort of energy blips kind of jumping up or around. And it's very interesting because it's both a feeling and a visual sensation. A lot of times when I do my readings, I get it's an internal feeling that is verified by what I can see.
Intuition.
Intuition, right? I like that. So then once that's done, I sort of look at them and I can see different areas of their bodies where different things are happening. Sometimes people who aren't grounded will have a very sort of crazy energy around their feet because they just can't find a center. And these are usually people who are very active people who are doing too much. They're not dealing with who they are. They're finding themselves that they're not really associated with the lives they lead. They don't feel that they have a lot of companionship with people. Everything is sort of surface. So
disconnected. It almost sounds disconnected. Yeah.
That's the perfect word, yeah. So they're the kinds of people who need to be grounded. And using the chakra colors, I see red oftentimes as the grounding color. So we work on sort of getting that red energy going into them, and then a lot of it has to be worked through the heart, because they have to take the sense of the heart and make that wholeness come back into their bodies, into who they are. I can give them exercises when they leave. Sometimes, I'm actually right now working on a Chromographics coloring book.
Fun.
Yeah, I thought that would be kind of fun, which would have mainly patterns in it, but people to color patterns, because it gives you some idea of how colors move together, and then it would kind of go from patterns to actual images, images that would be familiar to somebody. So
cool.
It's sort of like a color education, because people often take color for granted, but if there weren't color in this world, I don't know if we'd see anything.
I know somebody once told me something came up in a reading I was doing or in a session I was having, and yellow came up, and they said, just notice yellow, like all day long today, just notice yellow. And it was in Albuquerque, and I was driving home, and I just saw yellow everywhere, and I hadn't really noticed, from the weeds on the side of the road to stop signs and school bus signs and school buses and license plates, and it was really interesting, and I thought, oh, that's kind of, and it was like the most predominant color of the day, like everywhere I looked, what I noticed in everything was the yellow.
But did you feel anything as a result? Was that yellow responding? Were you responding?
Well, it brought back again. It was a link for me, I was talking before. So that yellow was a link. Every time you see that yellow, you're going to get this good feeling, and absolutely, it worked perfectly. It worked. I'm so kinesthetic. For me, it's all about feeling. So when I consciously link visual to the feeling, it works really, really well. So absolutely, every time. Even right now, I'm looking behind the set right now. There's this beautiful little bouquet of yellow flowers, and as I'm looking at that, I'm getting that really good feeling. So it's lasted all these years.
That's good. That's good. That's what you want. You want to have yourself to identify with the color that makes you feel who you are, that makes you feel strong and grounded and empowered. And I think that's one thing that knowing your own color, or the color that really works for you, does for you. If you're going to a situation where an interview, say a job interview, and you know that you're very nervous, but green makes you feel very strong and in control, then not only should you visualize green, but you should also wear something green.
Right.
You know, and oftentimes a lot of people will wear jewelry that has a green stone in it, like a crystal, because the crystals emanate not only their signature vibrations, but also their colors. You know, amethyst is a strong stone, but it's also purple. Purple is a color that makes you feel empowered and makes you feel royal.
Royalty,
things,
that's what I think, yeah.
That things belong to you, that you deserve things.
You know, it's cool because we have this process, it's in NLP and Neuro-Linguistic Programming that we do, where we have people, we used it for the exam when I was teaching at the academy. We used it for the exam all the time. People, you know, adults especially, about taking an exam. They haven't taken an exam in years. They get really nervous. So we would have them think about a really empowering moment. Okay, what's the first color? Again, that pops into your mind when you get that feeling. And then we would have them imagine a circle of that color out in front of them,
nice.
and step into it. And if it didn't feel strong enough, okay, make the color stronger, step into a beam of that color, see it all around you, until they get that feeling of confidence and ease of it, taking an exam, and just feel really empowered. We get as strong as we can, have them step out, test it a couple of times, and then when they would go, anywhere they would go, in an interview, for the exam, just to be in school, in any kind of a situation, they can take that, just slap that purple or slap that red circle out in front of them. We would encourage them to put it on their seat when they sat down.
Oh, nice.
You know, or put it in the room when you walk in. Just fill the whole room with that color and step right into it. And it worked really, really well. People, again, linking the color to that really empowered feeling. People seem to really be able to do that. And it seems a lot easier than for them to just bring back the feeling.
Yes. I think that's very true.
So you have a book. You have this really cool book, because I thought this was really cool. There's like questions in it, and it's about, like, what color is your partner? And then there's a list of all these different colors, and what color are you? What color is your family? What color is your body? Education. What color is a boring time? I think this is so fascinating. And then I would imagine you encourage people, okay, first thing that pops into your mind before they start analyzing it. And then what do you do with that? There's little boxes they can check and different colors that they can have. How do you take that information and I make up that's where you get a lot of the information for your readings and stuff?
That's right.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that. This is so fascinating. It's called the Chromo Quiz. See if you could hold that up there. And the Chromo Quiz, yeah, by MARCIA CLASGENS.
Yeah, what we do is, what I do is, when I do the reading and when people do these various questions about what color things are in their life, and it's interesting because it's a whole process. The first thing people have to do is change their way of looking at life. Not to look at life as discrete incidents. You're like, yesterday I went to the grocery store, then I drove home. But what?
So not so linear.
Exactly, exactly. Perfect word. It's more non-linear. Just see the event that happened as a color. How do you relate to that situation in terms of color? And so then they would put that down. And then when I go over the list of questions, there's usually a dominant color. And what that color is, it indicates how that person is feeling at that point in their life. Now, the interesting thing is this will change, and this book can be used over and over again. And there is a little key at the end, and you can put down how many, red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many there are. And actually, there are quite a few questions, and I'm expanding the book right now, and there are going to be even more questions. And then there's a key at the end that explains to you what these colors mean, what these colors can indicate. And then you're going to have like a main signifier color, and then you're going to have a sort of a secondary color. And the thing is that you can also, by reading the book, you can take these colors, if you're not happy with where you are in your life, or with the colors that you're generating, or the colors that you're seeing your life in, you can read about, there'll be the complementary colors, and see what it would take for you to change your life. So it's the kind of thing that you can take this, find out where you are, analyze how you're feeling about it, and then take some positive steps to change things if you're not happy with what's going on at this point in